Australia are winning the Olympics. 3 gold medals, 5 medals overall. Stop the count, Pezza. Australia are winning the Olympics. You have woken up to the best this country has to offer. You have woken up to the best years of your life. Some of you probably miss it because it was tough to watch because of the times and all that. But don't let that stop you from feeling enormous pride. Tears in your eyes, hope in your heart, Dorito dust on your chest. Gold for Ariane, gold for Molly, Emma, Shayna and Meg in the pool, gold for Grace Brown. 3-time Olympic gold medalist Grant Hackett is on the show, Pezza. We're also talking boomers, stingers, rugby sevens, opening ceremony, everything in between. The morning after Paris is brought to you by Smith Optics Australia. Use the code FAST for 25% off your order at smithopticsaustralia.com. Pezza, Sunday morning gold.
I make no apologies for commencing this show in exactly the same way as every other piece of sports coverage in Australia will. Australia, you awake to gold. We just keep telling people that they're waking up to it. Some of us did wake up already.
That's 3 in the afternoon.
Gold in the pool, gold on the bike. Medals galore, a shower of medals. We lead the medal tally. There is a double rainbow over Melbourne this morning. We are home. This is safe. And instead of you and I, Higgos, commencing with this stirring analysis of what Australia has achieved overnight, a glory that we can bask in the reflection of.
I feel like I did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're just staring into a pond going, there's some glory. Yeah. Let's bask in its reflection collectively. Let's hand it over to the listeners because we asked them this morning, how do you feel about the Olympics? I believe you know the button here. He goes, let's put the cans on to hear what the punters have said about this morning.
Titmus, Ledecky, 3 seconds, fuck off.
I tell you what, if the Brits didn't know who Ariane Titmus was before tonight, the whole of Clapham knows after that 400 metres. What a performance. Ariane Titmus, say her name.
This is what it's all about, boys. Children across Australia waking up to showers of gold, Aussie gold, learning about it in schools, living the Olympic dream, starting the Olympic spirit.
Music's
Let's go.
Seems to be whipping someone.
Australia 1, China 2, USA 3. I don't expect anything to change.
No, it's done.
Preach.
Get fucked.
Aussie fucking gold.
They keep the glass balustrades away from Dean Boxall. I need to see more humping.
Yeah, humping.
Yeah.
Boys, didn't watch it.
Andrew
I just
McDonald.
woke up, but I feel safe.
Good.
Aussie gold. Fuck yes. And how's the state of these Yanks publishing their medal tallies, including all their loser medals?
Yeah.
Australia, top of the medal tally. Wrap it up. Go Aussies.
Oh, yeah.
Storpy.
Oh, is it on?
I just think you can deduce a pattern from that, Higgos. Firstly, unnecessary and unbridled aggression from a lot of Australians.
A lot of aggression.
A lot of focus on those that were defeated in other countries overnight. I tend to agree with the listener who recorded his voice saying that this won't change. So I believe Australia will remain top for the remainder of the Olympics. And then, that demographic of people who didn't watch it at all, but just wake up, make moaning noises, go, nod, exhale through the nose. This is for you. This is for all of Australia.
Jeez, it makes you proud where you're from.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, that's right. Where I was born by virtue of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ariane Titmus, Pezza.
Yeah, okay. So it's straight to the pool.
Gold in the pool. Gold in the pool. Ariane Titmus. Here's what Matt Thompson... Matt Thompson, by the way, excellent.
Great call.
Excellent
A
commentator.
great call from Tomo.
He said with 100 metres to go in the race, now's the time to wake up your neighbours, Australia.
What a line.
I would have run through a fucking brick wall for Tomo there and for Titmus, who was actually doing the business. But it was... I actually turned it off with about 100 to go because I wanted to see what happening in the European handball between Hungary and Slovenia. Yep. See if they get the job done there.
Of course. You're one of those, that's your Olympic identity.
It was a procession.
Yeah.
It was a procession.
From Slovenia.
They just sort of moved the ball around and then threw it between the keeper's legs and all that.
Just the efficiency.
Yeah. I'm now expert in European handball. Ariane Titmus led from start to finish.
Yeah.
It was a clinic. Summer McIntosh, whose meet, I believe, has been extended by 3,000 metres, such as her workload, because she's doing the 1,500, introduced in the Tokyo Olympics, as we know, Pezza.
Oh, yes. Look at him go.
But now I'm ticking off.
Yeah.
Ledecky was the big threat, stormed home in her heat against Titmus, although, as we know, Titmus was just backing off there.
I want to talk about that.
But it was a masterclass from our Ariane. And also a masterclass from Ian Thorpe after the race, who said, it's much harder to defend an Olympic gold medal. And I'm thinking, oh, yes, Thorpey. Yes, that's absolutely perfect. Because Thorpe has done it himself in the 400, of course, in the 400 free.
Of course.
Sydney and Athens. But I mean, what do you say about Titmus? It was just, I mean, she's the kind of swimmer genuinely that inspires kids. She's the kind of athlete and swimmer that we like as Australians. Well-spoken, polite, athletic, friendly, personable.
Blonde this time around as well. And I don't mean my first comments to objectify the salad on it, because she became a legend overnight of Australian sport and Australia generally.
Yeah.
And I'm actually calling for her to become Australian of the Year right now without any thought, without any notice on that. But it's looking very iconic to me.
She's probably 2 Harvey Norman ads away from telling me which fridge to buy, from locking it in for me.
Can I mean, I love what you mentioned before about the
Fisher and Paykel.
Yeah. I was thinking Uncle Toby's. Like, let's go right to the top.
Right to the top.
Let's go right to the top.
Yeah, Chesty Bond sort of stuff.
Wheat Bix, Uncle. Yeah, the apex of Australiana.
Apex, Chesty Bonds, Wheat Bix, Uncle Toby's, the big three.
When you talk about the heats, because I caught the heats overnight as well before getting an early bedtime. So I woke up and got my 6-year-old son up as well to watch it. And I draped the couch in like a wallaby scarf as well to make it special for him. Got the little blanket over us and a little cup of tea. Like,
that's what the Olympics
I said,
is about.
This is going to be a special night.
The Olympics is mostly about kids or being a kid.
Yeah, and slowly indoctrinating them with patriotism. That's right. I'm hoping to put a little lid on it as well, just to ensure that it doesn't kind of tip over into more nefarious feelings, which can happen, particularly in today's geopolitical landscape. So no,
it's a fine
Ted,
balance,
do not
isn't it?
hiss at China. No. Let's take it easy. But watching the heat, Titmus is out by 3 body lengths, and the triumvirate of Tomo, Thorpe, and Gian Rooney positively cooing over Titmus, as we all were.
Oh, yeah.
Like reduced to pigeon noises.
Reduced to pigeons. I turned into a pigeon at 4 a.m.
Well, the night before, like, to be honest, Ledecky, the champion, hunting her down, because Titmus was the hunted this time,
that's right.
not the hunter.
That's right.
Mariners. And like, this is where I want to get into, like, the aesthetic of the pool, right? Because firstly, it's a fucking stadium.
Yeah.
Like, and I know there are aquatic centres that we've seen, swim meets at in the past, but this is a repurposed stadium that they're in. This is a stadia.
It's Racing 92 Stadium. I looked it up in Western. It's in the western outskirts of Paris.
Right. Okay. West Paris.
Nanterre. I want to say. But I want to say a lot of things.
Yeah. Exactly.
Boys, actually, and at gmail.com.
You're taking in the aesthetic. Firstly, left to right on screen. Someone let us know with a tidbit or a titbit, as they say in the UK. I've been informed about that. Guardian Style Guide, titbit.
Okay.
Which is relevant with overnight action.
Yeah,
but left to right. But the other thing is, I am a huge fan not only of Tomo and Gian Rooney, but Ian Thorpe has a career in commentary ahead of him. He has a hushed and studied cadence to the way that he speaks. You can hear his passion and his care and the knowledge that he has just bubbling underneath, but he keeps a lid on it, and I like that. He's understated. And when you hear Thorpe talking about turns, right, I am once again a pigeon. And when they start using to Joe Public, like the unfamiliar verbs of, you're not just sort of swimming a stroke. They find their stroke.
Oh yeah.
How poetic is that?
Yeah.
You actually find it. You're out there searching in the water for your stroke, but you actually find it. I don't know, I understand. The other thing that they seem to be aware of, the commentators, is when swimmers have a look at another swimmer.
Yeah.
Now, they're all wearing tinted goggles. They can't see their eyes, but swimmers are aware. Now, she just took a little look at her there because she breathes to the right. How do you know what the fuck she's looking at?
Yeah.
But that's a tidbit thing. Boys, actually at gmail.com. Let me know how swimmers are aware of who they looked at. Now, that is all the backdrop. Ledecky comes over Titmus in the heat, comes over the top of her in the swim. Yeah. And And all the commentators saying, I've seen Arnie do this before. She's foxy, and she's keeping energy in the bank.
Yeah,
there's stuff in the bank there.
Yeah,
and it proved true.
Well, just talking about the pool, generally speaking, Pezza. I had a message from my sister actually this morning. Who was now you know that my sister's an excellent swimmer.
Yeah.
She messaged me and sent me a link from swimswam.com.
Swimswam. Okay.
.com. Stating that the purpose-built pool is too shallow at 2.15 metres deep. It should have been built to the max depth of 3 metres. Now, it's a slow pool. Now, that's...
Can we explain why that makes it slow? Because we got a message in from Nelson Marr as well.
Okay.
boysactually@gmail.com. Makes the same point. The times in the pool have been quite a bit slower than athletes' personal best so far, leading to allegations of a slow pool flying around.
Yeah.
So it turns out the Olympic pool this time is approximately 2.15 metres deep, significantly more shallow than the pool in Tokyo, which is approximately 3 metres deep. A more shallow pool tends to get a lot choppier when you've got 8 rigs splashing about, meaning the swimmers will have to fight through more resistance as they swim. Did a bit of research today, did you? Now, we know that the pool is really just a pageantry of horse flesh.
Yes.
Now, when you have the horse flesh chopping around at 2.15, of course the fighting resistance is going to lead to slower times. So just a couple of tidbits.
Exactly. But in the heat, Titmus was 7 seconds behind her own world record. But in that race itself, there was 3 world record holders.
Yeah.
As in 3 athletes that had previously held the world record for that event in McIntosh, Ledecky, and of course Titmus. So it's our great event because, well, Australia's won it the last 2 times. So it makes it actually the sort of blue ribbon event of the entire thing.
Rye band as well.
It's a rye band.
Yep.
Anyway, wasn't it just fantastic? I mean, it was just...
for us, Titmus is the apex predator of the swim team. We needed that. It was our first gold opportunity, and Titmus delivered. And the way Thorpe built it up as well, saying we needed extra security passes on day one to get into the meet because of this particular race. Yeah. You know, it's the blue rye band event for Australia, and Titmus is facing off against one of America's greatest ever, arguably its greatest ever swimmer, alongside Summer McIntosh, the great unknown at age 17, who ended up being Titmus's main rival for the race. So when Titmus absolutely stormed over the top of Ledecky and the Americans.
Let's talk about the women's 4x100, the other
Probably.
gold. Matt Thompson again, he said they did it in London, they did it in Rio, they did it in Tokyo, they do it in Paris. They are our untouchables. Meanwhile, Ian Thorpe chips in and says Olympic record as well. I mean, Molly O'Callaghan, Emma McKean, Shayna Jack, Meg Harris. It's the 12th Olympic medal for McKean, 6th gold medal, moves past Ian Thorpe for most decorated Olympic athlete in terms of gold. Actually, I hadn't realised, and when I say that, makes it seem like I've actually followed every single event of the swim team. But
so I actually haven't realised, whereas you presume I would have realised this as an expert of all codes.
Emma McKean, whose Olympics in Tokyo was just one of the all-time greats for any athlete in any sport. Slightly unders in the last couple of years, as what Grant Hackett will tell us in a moment's time as well. But her leg was great. But Shayna Jack, for me, was like just such a fascinating story because for her to me, a gold medalist. So in 2019, for those that don't know, just before the World Championship started, she tested positive for a small amount of a banned substance called ligandrol. Now, that's the same drug that 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive for, as Tom Deason told us the other day, that China's anti-doping body was found, said it was from a contaminated kitchen. Those Chinese athletes weren't punished. So Shayna Jack was 20 years old at the time on the verge of qualifying for a maiden Olympics in Tokyo. She firmly stated her innocence in every junction over the last 5 years since. And in 2021, the Court of Arbitration for Sport found she did not intentionally ingest the, quote, pharmacologically irrelevant amount of ligandrol and halved the standard 4-year suspension. So she was banned for 2 years for a drug that 23 Chinese swimmers were also caught taking, who received no punishment. The emotional roller coaster of that must have been insane. She was from the third leg of the 4x1, I think it was. And was so powerful, so strong in the pool. And then 22-year-old Meg Harris did the business at the end. But fuck me, they're good. 4 in a row. Just to wrap all that up, it was powerful. It was clinical. It was wonderful. It made me feel all the things that I wanted to feel. There's a nice backstory to it. Chef's kiss, perfection, gold.
4 on the bounce in the 4x1, so we own that event, and we won't be smashed like guitars down the track.
No,
unlike our American rivals.
We're fair to say we'll never lose that.
I can't see it.
I can't
see it.
I don't see it.
Yeah. Now, I want to shout out Emma McKeon as well, who obviously had her like peak Olympics at Tokyo, who's been unders last couple of years. She's 30 years of age, which is no spring chicken in swimming terms. Yeah. And in the relay, as we mentioned on previous shows, the selection of the final four is not locked in until like the night itself. Right. Emma swam the relay. There were suggestions that she wouldn't make the final four, but they, as the commentators make this point, they select Emma on account of experience. And knowing how to get to that wall in the big event, and that world records do regularly go astray in Olympic meets because of the sheer amount of pressure on swimmers. It's not necessarily a fast kind of meet, particularly with this shallow pool that we've outlined. So what you're saying, Emma McKean just knows how to find the wall. And that's what she's done again in the big moment. Yeah. And when you see Emma walk around as well, it's so... it's regal. It's so regal. Well said. The uprightness of the body. It just again makes you feel as an Australian like we do have some rigs.
We've got some rigs.
We've got some horse flesh. Yeah. So once again, it was just a procession for Australia.
Because I love a swimmer that can find the wall.
Exactly.
How many times have we seen
and that's
swimmers,
what you ask yourself, can she find the wall?
How many times have we seen swimmers try and touch the stairs on the way out? Well, they've got to be able to find the wall. Can we talk about VAR? Can we talk about VAR being in swimming now? For the butterfly and for the breaststroke, I presume as well. You must touch with two hands. Disqualifications in the heats we've seen. I'm not sure about VAR in swimming. I think game's gone. Game's gone.
On the same note. Now, VAR in swimming, game's gone.
If swimmers are touching the stairs on their way out, not being able to find the wall, that's a separate issue.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, it can't look... Obviously, we're bathing in gold here, and it's one of the great days of patriotism verging on jingoism and nationalism. Yeah, where we sort of ironically speak about it in jingoistic terms, but actually mean it deep down. It's not all good because
surface
shallow
level.
Yeah,
almost as shallow as the pool.
But we have to keep some balance here. So VAR, no good. Game's gone. I just wanted, Ariane Titmus is 23.
What?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
She's 23.
I feel like
it's jarring.
I feel like another athlete tremendously more successful in life than I. I feel like you see this regularly in swimming where it's difficult to find peaks of athletes because some athletes, like your Summer McIntoshes, who was only 14 during the Tokyo Olympics, Ian Thorpe was 15 or something.
Yeah, it's not quite world champion at 15.
But it's some swimmers find their peak in their late teens, and others are a little bit older. Like Emma McKean, I guess, would have been 27.
I've had mine at age 9.
Yeah.
Age champion, under 10s.
Year 3.
In Homebush, just checking out the pool there.
Yeah.
Insane.
So, I mean, are we looking at Titmus, doing a three-peat? We're already building it up for the 400 metres. I mean, Summer McIntosh will be 21, I guess.
Though, can she go to Brisbane?
Can she go to Brisbane?
Can she go to Brisbane? Can she go to Mumbai? I don't know if that's been announced yet, but...
I think we know.
Your B says... Jay Shah's involved. They'll get it.
Something to think about.
Okay, and a couple of silvers as well.
Yeah, Elijah Winnington.
Yeah, that was a great swim.
It was a great swim. Silver in the 400.
Martins, the German, was he was imperious throughout.
It was like a Mercedes in the pool.
Exactly. And I do feel, what were we? A Hills hoist.
We were a music bar.
It is one thing I do like about the way the Australian media pumps up our swimming chances. Best swimming team ever, gold everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Someone before the race, I'm not going to call it out, was like, we could go 1-2 in this. And as a punter, you buy into it because it's just too irresistible.
Well, there's 2 athletes and there's 8 in the pool.
It's so often that when just before the race starts or you look at the heats, they will mention that the swimmer in lane 4, like the Chinese or the German or the American, they're the world record holder and they should win this. And you're like, oh, what? I've been led to believe that we're going 1-2 in this race.
I see 2 gold caps. Okay, sure, lane 4 hasn't lost since Barcelona 92.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah, and so the German Lucas Martins wins. He looks the goods all the way. Yeah. Just about. Elijah Winnington comes home strong. Shout out to Kim Woo Min, who comes in 3rd from South Korea there with
lane 1.
Yeah, with that Aussie coach cheering him on. Hope he's happy. That story. Yeah. That story. And if you missed this story, an Aussie, one of the Aussie swim coaches, I don't have his name in front of me, which is my right, had been doing some work with the South Korean Kim Woo Min.
He's essentially defected.
He says to some South Korean media, and like there's others there, says like, he says among other things, like he talks about how he should swim the race, and also at the end of the interview he says "Go Korea," and it causes like an internal incident within the Australian swim team. As far as I understand, this is one of those things that like it looks really bad on the outer that someone who's paid to coach Australia is saying something positive about the South Korean, and I agree. That's why I think he should have been jailed. Immediately. Now there is another
Assange out, this plug in.
That's right. Get into the Ecuadorian embassy. But the other side of it, as far as I understand, on background, is that like it's not unusual. Tom Jones song, but also
it's a banger.
It's not unusual. Is the song they play to warm up.
To be loved by anyone.
It's not usual for coaches to help other swimmers from other nations, and that like I think Sam Short himself said like I couldn't care less, and all the Aussie swimmers went up to this coach and said like all good, play on. Right. But it's not as good a story as like jail him, send him to the embassy. That's right. Get him on the first plane home.
Silver in the men's 4x100 metres as well. Kyle Chalmers looked amazing in that final leg. Hey, what about this though, Pez? Kai Taylor, that's Hayley Lewis's 20-year-old son. Well, in his first Olympic swim in the third leg was awesome as well.
Kai Taylor's mum. Hayley Lewis is what I'm saying.
Kai Taylor's mum is Hayley Lewis. Yeah, that's right.
It's switching now.
That's right. Hayley Lewis. Oh, she was a
now that's as a kid. That's sort of
teenage prime gun.
That's kind of
world championship stuff. 200 meter free.
Yeah, that's imprinting for me. Hayley Lewis, like that's the like the scientific principle of loving the first thing you see.
Yeah.
When you say Hayley Lewis to men of our vintage,
one of my first crushes. I would have been 7.
Yeah. And that more Australiana as it's presented to us in a nation building.
Queensland stuff. A banana bender called Hayley Lewis doing things in the pool for me.
That's
a
right.
7-year-old from Sydney.
Exactly. At age 7 as well. That's a scientific marvel. But it's sort of, Hayley Lewis is like the name equivalent of the hue of the Gabba.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The brightness of that light.
Yeah, that's right.
Pezza, well done to her son.
Should we speak to Grant Hackett?
Let's speak to Grant Hackett.
Okay. Grant or Grant?
Yeah, well, tomato.
Hacky.
I just went with you. Go on, Hacky.
Go on, Hacky. Here's
I think I say Grant.
Here's Hacky.
What a moment it is for us here, Higgos, as we welcome one of Australia's most decorated and adored Olympic athletes. Bulk medals, 3 golds across Sydney, Athens, Beijing. Australian swim captain, here to reflect on one of Australia's greatest days in Olympic history, and in particular, a stirring night in the pool. It's Stan Sport expert Grant Hackett. Grant, thanks for joining us on Morning After Paris.
Yeah, morning, gents. Thanks for having me on. And what a cracking first night to kick off our Olympic campaign.
This is honestly one of the great days for us to have woken up at like 4 a.m. I was there with my children watching, and now I'm looking at your face as well. Like it's actually like it's sort of like a dream. Grant, there are Australians waking up across the nation to news of 2 gold and 2 silver in the pool. There's also a gold in the cycling. But to stick with the pool, can you just put into context for us where the night sits in the annals of Australian swimming history?
Well, it's probably the best opening night or best night almost of swimming that we've ever had at the Olympic Games. So there was 4 gold medals on for offer, and we took 2 of them and nearly got the other 2 as well. So, it was very, very narrow in terms of the men's 400-meter freestyle. The guy who ended up winning from Germany, Martins, he was dying in the last 10 metres, and Elijah Winnington, who got the silver medal from Australia, was coming home super strong. And look, that men's 4x1 freestyle relay, it was going to be tough for us to scrape into the medals, but Kyle Chalmers, his 100 was just on fire. Like, he scared a lot of people for that individual 100, that's for sure, with the way he raced on the opening night.
Grant, now, you're a man of investments, you're a man of commerce and law, an entrepreneurial brain. You're basically Australia's Winklevoss twins. In an interview last year...
I love that.
In an interview with the AFR this year, you were asked about your relationship as an Olympian versus running an ASX 500 business, and you said, in my mind, I've moved on, but the world hasn't, which you kind of expect. Now, how do you feel this morning, you yourself, Grant Hackett? Are you an Olympian again? Are you wearing medals around the house? Have you got the Olympic rings re-inked? Are you going to go for a swim this morning? Are we looking at Hackett LA 28?
It's embarrassing when they told me to take my medals off from around my neck. To do the can't I just wear them 24/7 for 17 days? But yeah, I mean, it is one of those things that every 4 years, like I was before I was even competing as an athlete there, like you get so sucked into the Olympics. Like you're just seeing, you're seeing the best of the best, but the hype, everybody talking about it, seeing how good Australia is punching above its weight every single time we compete at this level, and particularly in the pool with our swimmers doing an outstanding job. Yeah, so for me, I love what I'm doing now. I've been in business in finance for 17 years and I was a professional athlete for 13. So I've been doing this for longer. But yeah, no, it does make me want to put back on the bathers, but not do the training, not do the 16K a day. But the racing part and the winning part is a lot of fun.
Mine's not as creative. I just want to talk about the pool, like Arnie versus Ledecky versus Summer McIntosh. Grant, you went back to back in the 1500 Sydney Olympics into the Athens Olympics. We're hearing a lot of stats this morning about how rare it is for people to be able to go back to win gold. Can you give us some kind of insight, and as a businessman in particular, touch on how much money there is in the emotions of sacrifice and parents and the marketing around that, because it fucking lures me in every time.
Oh, the investment is it never ends. Put it that way.
Relentless year-on-year growth.
And trust me, the probability of it actually paying off is not worth the risk if you really looked at it properly. It is so hard to get an Olympic gold medal just once. But like you said, like the probability, it's some ridiculously low percentage, like some single digit percentage, if not a point something, to be able to do it back to back. And when you talk about races like a 400 meter freestyle too, it's not a sprint event. I mean, you've got to last for around 4 minutes of racing. So to have the fitness and the training and the effort and the energy to be able to do that for another 4 years and then take the pressure of the Olympic Games, take the pressure of the nation coming into it as well. It's like, hey, Ariane Titmus, she's the best. She nearly broke the world record at Olympic trials. She's going to win by how many body lengths? It's not that easy to race at that level. So to see her go back to back was huge. And she really did dominate Katie Ledecky. Katie's not quite at her best, which I think she's actually quite vulnerable in a couple of her other races that, she was the favourite going into, being the women's 800 meter freestyle.
Grant, what about our untouchables this morning, the women's 4x100 metres? Just so good. And Shayna Jack having her first swim of the meet. I mean, can you describe what she's been through in the last, I suppose, since Tokyo?
Yeah, I can probably describe more than most other people in terms of that media pressure that you go through for a couple of years where, all of a sudden you're doing so well in your sport and then things can go a bit pear-shaped and, you get completely blindsided by the massive amount of negative publicity you can receive, the mental anguish, the difficulty of having to live through that, how withdrawn you become, and to watch her fight her way back, to prove her innocence, to get herself back on the team, but then to get herself back into form where she's actually an Olympic gold medalist now. Like, it's a sort of movie in the making, that type of stuff. And, she did her job as part of that women's 4x1. And, it was also Emma McKeon was super impressive. We haven't seen her swimming her best over the last couple of years, but to watch her step up in that relay, she was the fastest split out of anyone from all the countries in that field across the 8 nations that competed in that final. So it was great to see her back at her best as well.
Oh my God, just bathing in the champion qualities of our swimmers and names. Yeah. As a businessman, Grant, once again, like just when we were off air, I noticed you were, sort of texting in a flurry. Now, is that, are you moving and shaking on the ASX this morning, even though it is Sunday, or are we talking? Are you texting rival US swimmers?
I was doing that yesterday. Actually, I was texting with Michael Phelps. Funnily enough, yesterday.
Phelpsy.
And then this morning, I was just actually doing emails that were work related to the ASX that I do run. So yeah, I've been doing that since 6 a.m. this morning. What
is Phelpsy saying? Is he nervous about the Aussie swim team? He must be nervous.
No, we weren't even talking too much about the competition. He was telling me about his jet lag because it's funny. I've lived with Michael for basically a year, and there's this ongoing joke that we have. Like I was there for about 4 weeks, and I think he asked me a question, and I didn't even answer, and he's like, "Oh, Hacky, are you even there?" And I'm like, oh, mate, it's just the jet lag. It's a jet lag. And he goes, you've been here for 4 weeks. And I'm like, yeah. And was still joking around, him, myself, and his wife, and actually Alison Schmidt, who's a good friend of mine and his as well, on a group text message about that. So yeah, no, there's always plenty of banter between myself and Michael. But yeah, I think we've got dibs on opening day.
Last one from me, Grant. Is this our best ever swim team?
Look, we'll know over the next week. It's the best ever night. It's the best, sort of swim team in terms of, day one. And I think it's got the potential to be. It'll just be interesting to see if Cam McAvoy and Kyle Chalmers can really step up in that men's 50 and men's 100-meter freestyle. And the girls can continue to dominate both in the 4x2, Kayla McEwen in the backstrokes, the 200-meter freestyle with Molly O'Callaghan, and of course, Ariane Titmus. It will be the greatest Olympic swim team that we've ever had in the history of this country. So, but let's not put too much pressure on them. But yeah, they can win all those gold medals.
Hacky, if I can call you that, thanks so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Grant Hackett's part of Stan Sports Olympic lineup, the only place to watch every event from Paris 2024, ad-free, live and on demand with 4K. Hacky, such a pleasure for us, huge privilege, and you've said a couple of things this morning that will stir Australians who are getting into the Olympics.
Yeah, no, we've got plenty ahead of us. So yeah, tune in and watch the greatness of our little country. Thanks, gents.
Oh yes.
Thank you very much. It's a 3-time gold medal winner.
Yeah.
For us. He won those races for us. Grant.
And just a little précis again to people tuning into this coverage on what they can expect day by day. Mm-hmm. We're not mucking around here. The Olympics is sheep stations.
Yes.
That we just said, who do we get on to commemorate this historic night?
Yeah.
How about 3-time gold medal winner Grant Hackett?
Pezza, before we speak about Grace Brown, our first Olympic gold medalist of these here games. I think it's the 33rd Olympiad. I've said it that many times, but I've already forgotten.
It's the 33rd.
But we need to thank our dear friends at Smith Optics Australia. Use the code FAST for 25% off your order at smithopticsaustralia.com. You know what? I'm going to wear the shades. I'm going to wear the shades. Mate, I think you should put on gold today.
Here. Oh, yeah. Fucking hell.
Now,
look how clean and quick these are.
These are clean and fast, which is the name of the code, FAST, for 25% off your order. We're also promoting their protection of the lid. Protection with Koroyd and MIPS. Use super safe with super light technology. Integration with sunglasses is seamless. Plus, they look good. We're talking about the Trace MIPS on the road. The mountain lid is the payroll MIPS, which we've mentioned this before, Pez, but you can drop into bank corners and roll flowy single track with confidence. Designed for those who embrace speed. The Smith Payroll mountain bike helmet offers complete coverage for enduro, trail, and EMTB use. Easy for me to say. And also with the road, we should talk about the road actually, because we're talking about Grace Brown.
Yep.
Am I chucking on the road? Maybe I'm wearing the road.
We've won gold. Put it on.
Yeah, we've won gold.
Look how quick that is. You look like a weekend warrior immediately. Possibly you might have done some riding in nationals or gone to the AIS. Yeah. It's very AIS. I spent some time in the AIS.
Yeah. Okay, what I'm wearing is a Trace MIPS. The pinnacle helmet in Smith's Performance Road collection is the all-new Trace. The Trace features Koroyd, which fully surrounds the helmet, providing exceptional protection and works with the internal air channels and open intake and exhaust ports to produce maximum ventilation. Storage and ventilation of eyewear is crucial on those long rides. The Trace's air evac system relieves hot air that builds up your eyewear to prevent fogging. Okay. SmithOpticsAustralia.com. Use the code FAST for 25% off your order. Pezza, I want to talk about Grace Brown. I want to talk about Australia's gold medalist. 32-year-old Grace Brown lives in Victoria now. I think she was from Camperdown in regional Victoria.
That's right. Dairy farmer territory. Long roads.
Yes.
Long roads. Running and cycling on 3-kilometre roads.
Now we're talking,
They say, Grace, how about you go for a run around the block? That's a 3K run.
Yep.
And that's how you actually build Olympic gold in this nation.
Gold in the time trial.
Yep.
She only switched to cycling from middle and long distance running 8 years ago.
Yep. Because
she felt it would be easier on her legs where she had multiple injuries and stress fractures. narrowly missed medals at the Tokyo Olympics, now an Olympic gold medalist, Pezza. It's a great story, once again. A regional athlete, a lady living off the land that used to do something else, now has just picked up something else and is like, I'm going to be a gold medalist, and this 8 years later. Please!
And not only that, we're going to talk about the importance of narrative building in the Olympics, whether it's this one or down the track. Yeah. But very slippery conditions today, riding out from the Eiffel Tower for the individual time trial races. Now, Grace Brown navigated the slippery conditions, which means that gives her the opportunity, now that she's won gold, to build up how slippery it was as life goes on for her. Yeah. So in 10 years' time, it was absolutely pouring with rain. Yeah. It was bucketing. Yeah. 20 to 30, there's almost a tidal wave. She almost surfed a wave.
It was almost the Winter Olympics.
It was incredible she was able to get it done to begin with, most falling over.
Yeah.
And when you race out from the Eiffel Tower and you surf a tidal wave in 30 years' time in the country pub out there in Camperdown, not to be confused with the inner city suburb of Camperdown.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's waxing lyrical to grandchildren, etc.
Oh yeah.
On the dairy farm.
Still wearing the gold medal.
It'll be a bike surfing a wave, riding out from the Eiffel Tower, and she was presented her gold medal to the backdrop of La Tour de Eiffel.
Yeah, where the city was actually in ruins because of the tidal.
Because of the tidal wave.
Yeah. 35,000 people died.
And yet she rode to gold for
it's
the
just,
nation.
It's an incredible story.
Yeah, she just got out of there in time. Diplomatic mission from Australia. Shout out to our first ever Olympian on Morning After Paris and the great cricketer, Plappy, who unfortunately, so Luke Platt, unfortunately crashed out, was a non-finisher in the individual time trial, again owing to the slippery conditions. A lot of riders slipped over. Yeah. Even Remco Evenepoel, who was a heavy favourite to win, just held onto his bike or stayed on his bike to take gold. But I hope to hear that Plappy is okay. He was tracking very well in the race.
He was fourth.
That's right. He was fourth at the 13.1k checkpoint, which is the checkpoint we all know about.
It's the famous one.
The famous 13.1k checkpoint.
Yeah, Plappy's checkpoint, they call
it. Now, look, I don't know if Plappy's ready for this joke, but the first thing I want to say, which I think permits the joke, is that he's already clear with us, Plappy, that Paris is a lead-in to LA for him. So he's already booked himself, Plappy, if he stays calm and patient and he works hard while we are busy doing other things, desperately hard, that LA is what he's got his sights on, and even Brisbane 2032. Yeah, that's right. So now he's actually booked himself in for some very emotional build-up montages into LA 2028 and into Brisbane 2032. Now, I hope he's okay. I'm possibly going too soon on this. I hope he's come off the bike despite crashing out. I hope he's come up okay. But the silver lining to it is that, like, now when we go into 2028, you're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, some of the great montages of Plappy coming off.
Yeah, that's right.
When he was fourth. So he's an up-and-comer. You haven't heard the last of Plappy. Right? So shout out to Plappy.
Shout out to Plappy.
Hard to do that looking at you with that helmet on and the glasses, but I'm going to do it anyway. But unfortunately, in his Instagram, on his Insta stories, he did say that he was basically basing his pre-race vibes off the Carlton game he was watching.
Yeah, right.
He was watching the Blue Baggers.
And we saw what happened with them.
The Blue Baggers are up by 6 or 7 goals.
Against Port.
So Plappy's warming up for his race out from the Eiffel Tower for gold or for a medal. 6 up against Port, and they squandered that lead to lose.
Yeah.
So, in fact, is it Carlton's fault? That's the question.
Once again, Crippers stitched him up.
Yeah.
Crippers cost us another gold medal. Cripper. All right, what else say? Should we talk about the Boomers?
Yeah, let's go around the grounds.
So the Boomers got off to a terrific start actually against Spain. Their first win against them since Sydney 2000. They won 92-80. The Slob Wizard had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Good news if you're a Bulls fan. Paddy Mills, 19 points. They play Canada on Tuesday, then Greece on Friday. It is a ridiculously hard group, but they've overcome the first hurdle, that being the first team they played against, which happened to be Spain. A bogey team for our Boomers.
Well, and listen, that's a real up yours to all the what you've got to understand is the Boomers will struggle to win a game nonsense that have been out there.
Yes.
Because obviously, like, where you begin with when it comes to the Boomers is like, see you in the gold medal match. Not that we've done that before.
No, never.
But nevertheless, it's like, well, there's 7 NBA players in the team. I mean, we will be going deep.
Yes.
But then you had over the top of that, the boys actually group who were like, it's a very tough group for boomers. Now
And what
we
you
may
need to
we may have
understand
said
is-
something to that effect,
Yeah.
but that wasn't really us. We were just more holding up a mirror to everybody else, and all those nonsense who are like, look, you've got to understand Spain actually quite good, etc. You've been proving wrong. That's egg on face material.
I have an issue, generally speaking, with the Olympics, Pezza. When I see green and gold competing, I expect to win in any
And that's
actually
fine.
any event.
That's fine because that's part of the curriculum, as we've explained.
Yeah.
I watched some of this game. Boomers looked great from the start. Were all over Spain. And there was an early brouhaha as well. And the Boomers just came out looking good in this. There was a little scuffle, a little melee. I
saw that, yeah.
It was a big big Spaniard on a small Aussie, and then the big Aussie just got involved.
Yeah.
And Spain conceded the tech foul. All good. Aussies the Boomers just looking tight. You know, they hold a great flame and a great spirit, led by Paddy Mills, and just due to that and no other X's and O's, I think they'll go deep. As you said, Slobby got it done for the boys, and Paddy Thrills clutch time 3. Slobby though.
Rugby sevens didn't go so well for the boys this morning. The men
Yes.
lost 31-7 to Fiji in the semi-final, and then 26-19 in the bronze medal match to South Africa. The women's starts tonight, I think it is. And I
Chance to
can't-
jag a medal, so it was a lost
Yes.
jagged medal.
It was a lost
but it would have
jagged
been.
medal.
It would have been. That's the category of medal. That was a jagged medal. That wasn't a banker. That would have been jagging.
South Africa beat New Zealand in their first game, I think it was. They beat them
Right.
anyway, so that was it was good for them.
Yeah, and the
Nice for them.
French won an unlikely
won.
victory due to Dupont, the convert from the 15-man game. So, a win for France. All the best.
Let's talk about the 3-meter women's springboard in the diving, Pezza.
Where do you want to start with it? Because there's a couple of places to start with this.
So I'll just tell you the names: Madison Keeney and Annabelle Smith. So they were in position for a bronze medal,
Possible
on their
silver.
final dive in this women's synchronized 3-meter springboard final. Had a chance to grab silver when Annabelle Smith jumped into the third row.
Yeah, Australians around the nation. The duality of thoughts.
Yeah.
One, why are you diving into row Z? 2, why am I being told this by Tubby Taylor?
I liked it when he said, a lot of pressure on the Germans
Mate,
now.
exactly. Now, there's a lot of commentary out there of people going like Tubby doing the diving not working for me.
Oh, it's working for me.
I disagree
Yeah, I'm
wholeheartedly.
sorry.
I have to say, like that point when like Tubby sniffed a silver, he said all they need is 71 points. So you may as well have said or some shit. And who, like, you know, just like when Thorpe says they're stroking smoothly, who am I to disagree? You know, and
Sell me air
as you said,
conditioners and a dive.
I thought he was responding well to the camera shots there of the women lining up in podium positions.
Yeah.
And when he did say at one point, a lot of pressure on the Germans, I was like, you fucking hell, he's at first gripper.
Go on,
and I liked it. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I'm all for Tubby on comms in the diving.
Yeah.
I think it's sensational, and it was nothing short of. We make a joke about it. Nothing short of heartbreak for the women there. Yeah, Madison Keeney and Annabelle Smith, and again, you know, who are we to judge why it comes unstuck? It looks like one of the most torturous things to try and jump at the same time as somebody else with degrees of difficulty, and you know, these it happens. They've said some great things about it, but when you see those images of the team hugging and then they're in tears and the coach comes over, I mean, how all you can do is share in that heartbreak and make inappropriate remarks about it soon after.
I was watching their final dive, and I was watching it with LJ on the couch, and I found myself saying, when she went to propel herself for her final leap, because they sort of spring themselves to the end of the board, don't they? And then she almost landed like off the board. And I caught myself saying to LJ, like, I've never seen that before. Like I've ever fucking watched the diving, except for maybe 16 years ago.
I might have tuned in for Matthew Mitchum at Beijing, maybe for the last 3 minutes.
But that was off the platform.
That's right. And and just spat invective at the TV about the Chinese rival I'd never heard of who was good. The following year, I saw Matthew Mitchum lining up to enroll at uni. with me as well. Just a nice guy.
Yeah, and then I looked down and realised
Horseflesh
I was still
rig.
wearing one shoe for some reason.
That's right. I bought some Dunlop volleys from Rebel Sport 5 years earlier. 3 sizes too big, fully dirty, and I didn't even have the other one.
The Stingers, our water poloists, water poloers. The women that play water polo, the Stingers, they won 7-5 over China in their first game. The next game is against the Dutch on Wednesday.
Okay.
Any other sports you caught last night?
Kookaburras knocked over the Argies.
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Good lads.
And,
Good lads. I didn't see any of it.
There's Matty there who, what's his last name? Boys actually gmail.com.
Yeah.
Look it up, but
Well,
no, people
it's
are
just Matty
enjoying
to his mates,
correcting. Has had the part of his finger amputated so he can play.
Got it.
And it's
Yep.
exactly
Yep.
the sort of commitment we expect. That's
that's
not
right.
even news to me.
No.
If a team doesn't have someone who's done that, then I'm concerned about commitment. So,
Well, it's a testament to Pat Cummins, who's also had a bit of his finger removed.
well, and people don't speak about that with Cummo. Like, he's had part of his finger removed because it allows him to execute the wobble seam.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
when he put his finger in a door and he asked his sister to slam it on his finger.
Yeah, he asked.
This is a wobble seam
Yep.
issue for me. But the Kookaburras, the
What was the
Burras,
score?
1-0, and they held on. They held on according to balance reports, but not for me. I
Argentina
think
are quite good.
Let's say they are.
Yeah, let's say they are.
Let's say they are.
I can see. I know they're good in the women. I know. I don't know anything.
Generally decent sporting nation, Argentina. Always seem to be there and thereabouts
Yeah,
with
that's-
sports
that's
that I
true.
turn on at
That's-
various times.
A lovely mountain range between them and Brazil, isn't
Indeed.
there? Yeah.
Buenos Aires, if you do get the chance to visit, I've never have. But had the chance, but I would.
I'd bite your hand off.
I'd love to.
I don't even
This
bite-
show's going
I
to go for 20 minutes, but it's been a historic day.
I don't even bite the tip of your finger off for it. Pezza, the opening ceremony was a couple of nights ago to actually commence the Olympics. We saw some wonderful images here. We saw Snoop Dogg coming to the stadium, as we see here. Not sure that that's the actual Olympic torch he was holding, but
apparently Snoop Dogg received the Olympic torch off Channel 9 CEO Mike Sneesby. Just imagine
Sneezy and Snoop.
Snoop just coming up the Sneesby.
Yeah.
Naked dog. He's Barack Obama. He's from the South now.
Wouldn't be my top rotations that I'd have. But we also saw two great French athletes, Zinedine Zidane and Rafael Nadal. A couple of great French athletes there.
Well,
King of the clay.
I got to say, I liked this because it made me think, hang on, when Australia had theirs and it was just bulk Aussie athletes at all costs and times, maybe we were the aberration there?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. France have done it wrong by sharing it around.
We also see the leader of the Blue Man Group and my ex-girlfriend.
I caught
a
this.
lot of controversy over this one. A lot of controversy.
Popping out of a feast, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I originally thought this
Supper.
was a feast,
It was
and
the
then a
Last
man
Supper.
came out of it.
Yeah, to each their own. It was a wonderful spectacle. How much of the opening ceremony did you catch? You see Gaga?
I woke up for all of it.
Did you see Celine Dion after what she's been through?
I've got a few things to say.
Okay.
I mean, firstly, the opening ceremony was unapologetically French. It was artistic. It was kitsch. It was camp.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I read an interesting article a few days ago in the SMH, who was still publishing articles, at least pre-written, saying that a lot of opening ceremonies at Olympic Games are often curated and designed by US television broadcasts because they pour the most money into it. Now, when I say curated and designed, I don't mean they're the curators of it, but it's often heavily influenced by what US broadcasters want their audience to see or what US audiences expect. But this opening ceremony was unapologetically French.
Right.
It didn't bow to US TV audience interests. And now, I was wowed by it, and at the end, Celine Dion singing Hymne de l'amour from Edith Piaf. Now, this was a masterclass in grace and fierceness and power in her, shimmering, sparkling, classy white number, grand piano accompaniment only, her powerful athletic voice, her story, and the Eiffel Tower. And rain coming down as well, which I thought added to the how evocative the thing was. Now, I put that second to Slim Dusty at Stadium Australia singing Waltzing Matilda in an Akubra.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Ahead of the Bledisloe.
He did it at the opening ceremony there as well. But of course, when he does it at the Bledisloe, indeed. Johnny Williams not happy.
No.
But he was saved for True Blue in the dressing room with Steve Waugh in the tubs naked. So, yeah, no, I thought it was fucking awesome, to be honest. And that hydrogen balloon thing that's that lights the flame. Yeah. I'm good for it.
Did you see this, Pezza? Olympian high jumper from Italy, Gianmarco Tamburi.
Yeah, you got that.
Loses his wedding ring.
Yeah.
In the Seine while bearing the flag for Italy. Now, here's a quote he said. Afterwards, he said, I saw it fly, but unfortunately the bounce was in the wrong direction. It will stay forever in the riverbed of the city of love.
So what, he's explaining that to his wife.
Yeah. He said, if you want, we'll throw yours into that river too. So they'll be together forever. And we'll have one more excuse to, like you've always asked, renew our vows and get married to new. Now, I've seen this happen many times on Bucks parties, but the wife is less likely to go to Spearmint Rhino.
That's right.
Where I've seen a lot of wedding bands just fly off and bounce in different directions, you know? I'm just saying it happens.
Do you say the same thing to your fiance or your wife there? It's like, I just got the wrong bounce.
They got the wrong bounce, yeah. Bounce into a stripper.
I just didn't get the bounce. Yeah. That's right. It bounced onto a stripper's pole.
At Kittens. Anyway, that's the Olympic ceremony. Anything else you want to say about day one?
Yeah, look, our shows, we're not going to ask for an hour of your time every single day. It's just a historic day.
Australia's winning.
Australia's winning, so you're just going to get bulk content. Contrast this with sort of day 13 or so, when we'll be atop the... we'll actually be 3 or 4 body lengths ahead of the US and China on the medal tally perspective.
Right. That's how it works.
But this is from boys at gmail.com if we've got something wrong. It just seems like we get quite a few things wrong. It's from Mitchell Connon. Boys, actually, did you know, this is more of a titbit.
Okay.
Let us know what you think about titbit, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, there's an interesting etymology to it, with North American Puritanism moulding what was already titbit from the UK. Right? So, interesting. And English people do enjoy this section about correcting people. I don't know what that is, but anyway.
It's weird, yeah.
Mitch says, boys, actually, did you know we have just shy of 5% of the total Olympians at these games, whilst having only 0.3% of the global population? Makes for a good comeback if England or America beat us in anything. Waking up to 3 golds on Sunday morning, I'm just putting the feed bag straight on and chomping on that all day.
Yeah.
Cheers, love your work. Because this is when you start to get the per capita stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Here goes. So we're at top the ladder.
Yeah.
Only 26 mil in the country.
We always
very
punch above our
quiet on
weight.
the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, like, sure, we've spent our entire GDP on creating wonderful athletes and also mining coal.
Yes.
Those two things.
Well, I was actually singing the national anthem with Ted this morning. I realised that Wealth for Toil was just actually Gina Reinhart getting herself into the national anthem because of her sponsorship of the swimmers. Now I could put my morals away for these goals.
BHP actually wrote the national anthem.
We've got Wealth for Toil deluxe, especially in the 90s. That's why WA is so good in the Shield. Now, they've got a great program. Cameron Jones, boys, actually, you got the Olympic motto wrong in the first episode. It was for 100 years, Sidious Altius Fortius, meaning faster, higher, stronger. But after Tokyo 2020, they updated it to Sidious Altius Fortius Communita, meaning faster, higher, stronger together. That being said, there's been much discussion over the correct syntax to apply to this motto, since Latin is a dead language. Scott Southern was a guy who wrote in about titbit. I asked him for evidence about it being the correct word, and the evidence was quite good. And then finally, Joseph Murphy. Boys, actually, it's important to note that the slob wizard is also accomplished in baseline out-of-bounds passes, aka blob passes, having sent a game-winning blob pass to Dyson Daniels against the French. Unfortunately, being a rectangular game, that's the extent of lob passes available, unless you want to get into your clob business, which is a touch too far for my blood. Yours, Joe. So, hey, if you have any titbits, or corrections around the Olympic Games, we're open to them. Make them as snarky as you want. You give yourself away anyway when you do it. It does sting to read them, but that's the game we're in. Boys, actually, at gmail.com.
A gold medal day for Australia. 3x, in fact. 5 medals overall. Australia winning the Olympics. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, Australia, or wherever you are across the world, especially Clapham. It's going to be great there. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning where more gold will happen. I'm predicting 7 gold medals.
Yep.
So see you tomorrow morning right here on the Morning After Paris. Cheers.